really sort of began in Vancouver. Before that, I was in the creative industry. I was an art director in my advertising and my branding. I got here, that was around the time that the pandemic happened as well. So, like, a lot of people, we sort of like went back to our hobbies to sort of like, you know, fill in the time and sort of like ground ourselves. So I started illustrating again and just sharing it on social media, not really expecting anything. And to my surprise, my following started growing, and that's when I thought like, okay, maybe I can do this like full time. And yeah, that's how it all started. I think I usually start with a feeling that I want people to get when they see the art. So whether it be like, a lot of time maybe it's to transport them into like an idyllic environment, and like maybe they feel warm and comforted, and maybe, you know, they feel free and like free to be themselves. So once I have that idea, I do a sketch to sort of like bring my vision into something that is more prototype. And yeah, I go from there. Like, I see the colors and that's how it goes. It's really quite organic. I don't really have a fixed way of doing things. Okay, so how I got the gig, I think we sort of have a period of time where we all have to complete the painting. It was like a 2-week duration. So all of us were probably there at the same time, and we would walk to each other's like the hoarding and like just appreciate each other's art and like just hang out and chat. I think I have a few fashion collaborations, so like translating my work onto fabric and you know, like things that you can wear. So personally, I enjoy fashion, and I feel it's an accessible way for people to enjoy my art. So I'm excited for that. My art is a very personal expression for me, and I try not to think too much about the commercial aspect. I feel like whatever I put out, I would just attract the people who are drawn to my style, and not really change myself to accommodate someone else. Because like people's preferences change, and it's really hard to keep up with people's preferences. So I have to be true to my own preferences. Yeah.
You have mentioned in one of your posts that you like drawing women freely dancing because you believe that movement is freedom.
Yeah.
What messages do you hope that sends out to people?
For myself, my art is something very simple for me. Yeah. And I do it firstly for personal enjoyment. So I think that time I had like an ankle injury, and I couldn't run for the longest time. For a year I couldn't run. So I was like, I want to run. Like that's the inspiration behind it. Like, and also like coming out of COVID, we couldn't really go anywhere. So I was like, oh, this feeling of freedom, how can I express it? And I just feel like people just, you know, dancing and just moving to the music is the closest I can get to what I feel when I can freely move around.
I'm Rafi.
I'm Tutti.
And we're Extra Crunchy.
We are one that is made of two. We're a duo of artists. We've been traveling since 2017. Yeah. We've done a few festivals around the world, in Denver, in India, in the UK. We traveled a lot for our art.
So all of our murals and paintings, we do a lot of digital paintings, are just a combination of the two of us. It comes from our history and our things that we grew up on, animations and comics and any art inspiration that was really affecting us and brought us to where we are. Tutti and I met, we did different things. Tutti was more into the murals and I was more into 3D animation and concept art. And we kind of combined and merged the things together. And we find that we both bring different elements together. And at the beginning, it might have been more separate. You could feel like maybe two paintings. But as we did more, it merged more together and looks more seamless.
Like our strongest value that we want to share with whoever is seeing our art is that this is a multifaceted reality, and things are always not as they seem, and there is a lot of depth and fun and humor and silliness and darkness, and when you realize that you have yourself and you feel like you are in your element, you can create your own story and you can share it with other people and hopefully inspire them also to do whatever that is in their passion.
You explained that you were more of the mural artist type and you were more into like 3D animation. I noticed you guys, so you do combine them. Is that kind of what influenced you to take on like AR technology as like a kind of a branch?
Yeah.
Yeah. Like how is it working with like this new technology in art?
We love mixing technologies together and bringing the physical and the digital realms to one. So we kind of explore different ways of doing it. But we don't feel that AR really got to a point where we feel this is like what people are expecting. It's really hard to get a technology that people are really going to use, and we don't want to work really hard if people are not going to really use that function. So we choose where to put them.
But we would have loved to do a piece that you can really literally get inside of it and feel the environment and feel the extra crunchy planet. That'd be amazing. We're trying different things of how to do this. We thought AR is, we still think that it's kind of a step in there. And if there are, we start seeing more ways that it can happen in reality, slower than we anticipated in this planet, but it's still sort of happening.
And there's different technologies that we were checking out. Like VR is also something that we're working on. Currently, there's our friend, really good friend from way back, is doing a VR called Float, which is like floating in space. It's kind of like a meditative type of experience. And we're combining together, like we're doing like an extra crunchy exhibition there that is already available, but we're kind of upgrading it now. So that's another exploration. AI now is also something that at first we didn't know how it's, like why it's even there. And then like a friend of ours showed us how to work with it a little bit for creative workflow. And we discovered it's just an amazing tool that we're using a lot now. Like it's only been a few months when we started, but like this mural that we're doing has a lot of that combination of AI, because in AI we can really like explore so many different angles and colors and dragons, and so then we can select and put together our image.
I feel like it's a level of conversation that is not even in words, trying to explain to AI a level of aesthetic, and AI realizing what exactly do you want and creating it right back at you. It's so much stronger than saying, can I have a bubble tea? As much as we obviously love bubble tea, but it's just things that you cannot really explain. I want to have the dragon in the style of to have a shimmer in the scales, and I want it to feel grand and vast. You can say this, but you can see many types of different dragons, and it's so interesting how AI is able to give you reference points that you can say, this is what I was hoping for, in a way, and to create something that you see in your mind, but you're sometimes not able to express.
And in 3D, you build geometry and you start creating like spaces and characters. So, like to inspire the students here, we wanted to make something that is like the creator, you know, like a child that is dreaming about his reality and creating it through the digital world. So he's like using a tablet and creating this universe around him. And it kind of seems like he's sitting down in his room on a carpet, but also creating just like another space that is beyond his room.
Also that moment of, for us it's drawing. We always liked drawing, even as kids. Some kids like building things or creating music, but for us it was drawing. And that moment is a moment that really breaks time. We can draw all day without even noticing how much time is passing. This is the moment where we realize our inner strength. Drawing definitely represents the inner strength. It's not to show, a fearful animal or predator. It's to show the hidden inner strength. Yeah.
My name is Ciele Beau, and I have been painting since I was a kid, but I went to art school and then have been professionally painting for the last 10 years, I guess, 8 years. I do painting, murals, illustration, graphic design, kind of a mix of everything. Sometimes art direction for film, sort of just depends on what is needed. My work tends to be pretty colorful, bright. I try to make things that have like a little bit of humor in them, a little funny, but also sometimes have a social commentary at the same time is kind of important as well. Sort of like social commentary light. Yeah, and I'm a full-time artist, so that's what I do. For mural work, I do try to incorporate themes that are relevant socially to like things that are happening at the time. Like a lot of my original mural work got started during the pandemic, so at the beginning of the pandemic. There was one that I had done that said, "You're doing amazing, sweetie," which is a Kardashian quote, and it was an alien, and she was like, had a bathrobe, and she was just kind of lounging around because we were all doing the couch potato thing at the time, but that seemed to really resonate with people. And then that same year I did one where in the River District where there's a girl, there's like somebody splashing coffee on someone's face and it says "wake up," and you can kind of see that in two ways. It's like on the surface it's like, yeah, coffee, wake up, very sort of neutral, it's very colorful, bright, whatever, but also there was a lot of social unrest happening at that time as well. And so there was a little bit of, it was like my subtle way of also being like, hey, like we have to wake up as a culture, as a people, like yeah, so I kind of try to make sure that it's colorful, it's palatable for the general audience, and then if you wanted to look a little deeper, then there's some other things in there.
How does the local community influence or inspire your works? Like when you worked in River District, how was like the community with the other artists?
For the most part, community tends to be pretty supportive of mural work. I think especially at the time because it was the fall of 2020, so we were still kind of it was the pandemic still, and so all people could really do was walk around outside on, like that was how people were getting out, was like going on that boardwalk. And so anytime people were walking by and we were making the art, people seemed to be really excited about it. And obviously it depends on what you're putting there. Everyone has their own opinion. Not all art resonates with all people, so sometimes you have people who are like, I could do better, or this isn't for me, but it's kind of grain of salt, and someone hired me to do it, so that's kind of why I'm there,
All right. What role do you believe public art plays in community such as like Vancouver?
I think it plays a huge role. I think, I mean, oftentimes there's art in spaces that we don't even realize, or even just the way that things are designed, like posters and things like that, where if you took all of that away, it would be so bland and so boring, with the exception of if you're like just in nature, you know, that's its own beauty. But within a city context, I think it's very important. I think it adds character. Sometimes it makes people think. Sometimes it inspires like more warmth and welcoming to gathering spaces, you know. Yeah, I think it can make a really big difference. It's very important. It's valued and then also not valued as much as I think it should be, or people don't realize the ways that art plays into their everyday life, especially in public spaces, just because it's there and we're so used to it. But it's really important for sure.
I don't know.
What's this painting?
So I have a painting practice that is based on a condition I have called synesthesia. The kind that I have is sound to color synesthesia, and so when I hear music I see color and shape. Because I actually didn't even know I had synesthesia until I was 22. I honestly just thought that everybody experienced music like that, and that's why nobody was talking about it, because it was just normal. I made a painting in one of my classes. It didn't look like this. It was like way more abstract, moving shapes, whatever. Because I also see them like shapes kind of like moving. So this is just a way for me to contain the experience in a formula. But I had made this painting, and then over the summer, I guess one of my peers had been thinking about it and was like, I think you have synesthesia. Like, she came back and I was like, what is synesthesia? And then it changed the trajectory of my whole life. So
each color is a different note.
Each color is a different note, yeah. And I create these color scores so that I know they're like a map of the paintings. So here we go. So this is Heat Waves by Glass Animals. So then it's like 8 notes, 16th notes, like dotted 8 notes. Anytime there's a white space, that's because there's a rest in the song. So it's kind of just, it's like the melody line. So you kind of read it like sheet music from left to right all the way to the end. So you can see in here is like where the chorus is happening. And these are the verse. This song is really limited in its color palette, just because as a pop song it's a pretty like straight across. There's not a lot musically happening that's super interesting, but yeah. And then my favorite thing about this style of painting that I do is just you get to see the music in a different way. So for example, it's a pretty straight song in terms of its key signature, but then like here, this is more like red notes, and it only appears in this one line. And I believe they threw in like an A or an A sharp or something that's not in the regular key signature. So then you get these little moments that are kind of, I don't know, interesting, colorful.
Describe one of your proudest works and why.
My favorite one was in 2020 on Robson Street. I had painted the You're Doing Amazing, Sweetie mural. Yes. And that was one of my first murals, and for some reason that one really resonated with people, and it got turned into a bunch of things after. So the design was on t-shirts at Simon's, like the clothing store, so that was really cool to be able to see my art in a clothing, like a large retailer like that across Canada. And then the art got turned into the banners on Robson Street as well for like a good 2 years they were up. And then the Museum of Vancouver actually acquired that mural because it was on hoarding, like wood boards. So now it's part of their private collection or permanent collection at the Museum of Vancouver. So it like has a place in local history, which is really cool. Yeah, it was a major honor. So that was that was my favorite thing.